Let's speak now about security objectives. And remember, the internet offers an open communication infrastructure. Open, that means everyone knows the blueprints, everyone knows the technical principles of the internet, everyone can access it, everyone can use it for his or her own purpose. So open communication infrastructure generally can offer the user only unsafe and unsecured communication channels. To secure communication channel, the user is responsible to install own security systems. To this end, to negotiate so-called service level agreements, which regarding the information security on the internet, a systematic analysis of the security requirements is needed. That is based on the desired usage. So this requirements, the security requirements, are typically called security objectives. And what is important to remark, the security objectives depend on the respective user and on the application he or she is using. There is no general security objectives and ready. No, one has to look what are the requests of the user and what are the in which way he's using the application, what needs to be done to secure this secure usage of a system. There are some basic security objectives, and typically they are known to remember as CAI. These are the three basic security objectives. C stands for confidentiality, I stands for integrity, and A stands for availability. Let's have a closer look what these security objectives mean. Let's start with confidentiality. Confidentiality says the protection against unauthorized access to confidential information. Confidential information that are passwords, that are payment information, that are health data, private correspondence. So there is a lot of such confidential information that needs to be protected. So the protection particularly is necessary when this data are transported over this open communication channel, because the open communication channel is unsafe. So here one has to secure the information, and the possibility will be the encryption. The second basic security objective was integrity. Integrity is ensuring that the intended manipulation or corruption or unintentional change, for example, transmission errors of information during transport via the internet, an open network and consequently an unsafe channel, can be discovered by the receiver. The receiver needs to be able to check whether the data comes in the original form or whether the data comes in a form which were manipulated on the transport channel. And then the third basic security objective is availability. Providing users access via the internet to inform and communication services at any time from the right location. For example, a medical emergency service or a sales channel or an online performance. If the user needs access, the access needs to be guaranteed. And the availability is exactly this basic security which concentrate on that point. Of course, there are further security objectives. For example, authentication. For example, access control. For example, anonymity, non-observability, the privacy, legal enforceability, proof of origin, receiver verification, copy protection. And you see the list of the security objects cannot be finished because there is a lot different, and it depends from the application and from the user to define this in the right way. Let's have a closer look on authentication. Authentication, that's the task to identify the identity of a user, to be able to decide whether the user can get access to certain data, can get access to certain resources in the system or not. In an open network, in the internet, it's difficult. It's difficult to find out who is it who wants to get access. And the tools that are available and that are designed for that purpose is our authentication system. Access control. Access control is granting the access to information, to services, to systems or resources, and it is a step after the authentication. After the system knows this is user XY, then access control can make decision whether this user XY can get access to this data or to that resources. Anonymity, another security objective, which the idea is to the concealment of the identity of a communication participant in an open network like the internet, so that others cannot detect who is it who communicates. For some application, this is very helpful and useful, for others not. Non-observability, that's a security objective that helps to keep a communication process hidden from outsiders in the internet. Sometimes not even the content of a communication is important to know, but sometimes it's already helpful to know that there is between two parties, that there was a communication. And this should not be observable. Privacy, another important security objective, is to controlling the access to personal data. And of course, this security objective is related to confidentiality. Copy protection is another security objective. Copy protection should ensure that information can only be copied by authorized users, for example, that have paid for. And copy protection is implemented, for example, by hiding distinctive information with which the copyright can be detected in a software or in an audio or in a video clip. There are more security objectives, for example, legal enforcement. Since digitized information and its transport medium are decoupled, in an old world, a letter was written on paper, and you could not take away what was written from the paper without destroying something. In the digital world, the communication and the transport meaning are completely decoupled. So if a message is received, it's difficult to find out whether this comes in the original form or whether it was manipulated. So legal enforcement is to help, since we have this decoupling of transport medium and the communication. A right to link relationship must be established between the transmitted data and the person who has sent or received it, for example, to the proof of origin, to verify that the message exactly came from this person or from this party. The receiver verification, to check whether the message was received, for example, to perform some important messages, sign a contract or accept a punish or other things. So this is legal enforcement. And what is important to say when we speak about security objectives, there is typically not a single one that needs to be implemented to secure an information over an open network like the internet. Typically, one has to combine different security objectives to provide the right level of security. I already mentioned that it's impossible to make a complete list of all security objectives. The reason is new applications often require new security objectives. For example, if you think on elections on the internet, it should be secret, so it should be not clear who elected what. But on the other side, it should be very clear that each person only has one chance to elect. Here are things that very carefully need to observe. Digital money. So of course, on the one side, it should be clear that the money comes in the right amount, But on the other side, it should hidden from whom the money came to protect privacy. So various security requirements are differently weighted for each application. For example, liability and anonymity in some business communication. On one side, it should not be clear to profile a person, what the person byte in the system. On the other side, there should be guaranteed a kind of anonymity. So you see, for each application, one has to think about the right balance between the different security objectives. So the individual security requirements are changing from person to person. And sometimes such individual security requirements can even contradict to each other. For example, authentication and anonymity. If a person does some payment with credit card, it needs to be clear, the person needs to be authenticated to make clear that comes from the right credit card. On the other side, there should be, there is a wish not to left traces, so that others see what was byte. But both cannot be realized in same time. Another contradicting pair of security objectives is anonymity and legal enforceability. For example, legally binding actions, especially against the background of legal verifiable, always requires the proof of identity of a natural person. Such an identity verification, of course, excludes the anonymous communication. So here you see that there are a long series of security objectives, and that's that for each application it needs to be carefully balanced what security object which play what role. After having defined such security objectives, then one is able to look for the tools that help to implement these need to be implemented to secure, to guarantee this security objective.